Hello and welcome everybody. What is going on? So I thought I might make a video about top 5. And this is video inspired really by Super Saiyan in Discord, who essentially said I should make top 5 videos about something. And I was thinking about doing something like that for quite a while now, but I always thought, there's too much research involved. This one, there isn't. This one, there really isn't too much. There isn't research involved at all, and it's a fairly simple list, as you could probably tell by the title. It is my top favorite servants in the Fate universe so far. Obviously, just being just Fate Zero and Fate UBW. I'm not including Fate Epoch because I'm just 3 episodes in, so there's not much really to choose from there yet. And this list might change in the future once I get to know more characters in Fate Epoch. But I thought, let me do a top 5. And I think, well, doing this list, the first 4 names were actually fairly simple, I thought. And then after that, I really struggled. Like the 5th name for me was very difficult to come up with. There are a few names who, they're like for the last position, there are a few people who I thought, you know what, are they in the list? I don't know. They are, they're cool characters, but would I put them in the list? Probably not. So it ultimately just came down to one thing, which you'll see, which I'll talk about at the end. But yeah, let's start with the first one. I think the first one is probably the most obvious one. My favorite servant so far in the Fate universe is obviously Iskander. Iskander, Alexander the Great, the Conqueror, King of Conquest. How could I not have him as number 1? He was my favorite in Fate Zero, and he's still my favorite overall. He was just such a cool character, such an awesome character. You can relate to him, and you could definitely tell that that he had 2 sides to him. He had like a serious side, but he also like a jokey side, just trying to figure out how the world works, trying to understand more of this place, trying to understand more of the world, and then ultimately ultimately we all know what happened to him. But for me, he was honestly the best. He is my number 1, definitely my number 1. There's a reason I think why we saw him that much in Fate Zero. We almost saw him as much as Arturian. That says quite a lot, So for me, he was a very cool character. He was a very awesome character. He was a very fun character to just watch. Very fun character just to see. Like I said, he also had a serious side. Like when it came to battle and whatnot, when it came to like serious moments, when they were in the underground cave and whatnot, and they saw all these bodies. By the way, spoiler, I think that's pretty given with a list like this, but when they were like in the underground cave and whatnot, and you saw all like the dead bodies, that caster and that child, that the murderer or whatever, that they when you saw all the bodies of the people that they killed, he got pretty serious. Assassin was around him and he got pretty serious. So he is a character, I think his Noble Phantasm is pretty cool as well, to be totally honest. He's a character that I really enjoyed watching, and especially with like his Noble Phantasm. That was a pretty cool thing. That was a pretty cool thing, having the having like the fallen heroes who share the same dream as you essentially be in your army to fight for you. And it was pretty cool that there was a little Easter egg with Waver being in his Noble Phantasm, his reality marble. What was it called? Like EI Hentyron or something like that. Something like that was that. Ian Hentyron, I think it was. But having like seeing Waver there as well, like the whole thing, like just Iskander was just awesome. It was just such a good character. It was just such a fun character to watch. That's why he's number 1 on my list. Now number 2 is I figured out. I didn't realize he was a controversial figure, but number 2 is Gilgamesh. And the reason why I didn't figure out he was a controversial figure, I thought people loved him as well. I thought I liked him. I thought people liked him. I thought he was just universally loved, but apparently not. Apparently in that one episode when Shiro and Gilgamesh have their little fight, and then obviously Shiro beats Gilgamesh. A lot of people were like, yes, Gilgamesh is gone. Yes, this and yes, that. I was like, whoa, people don't like Gilgamesh. What's going on? What is going on? I mean, but that's to be expected. With like arrogant characters, you either love him or you hate him. There's not really a middle ground with arrogant characters like him. But for me, it's always been a case of if you're arrogant, you need to be able to back it up. And in Gilgamesh's case, he was able to back it up, which is why I actually liked him so much. And then obviously his conversations with Iskander in Zero. Like overall his conversation, and especially Kira, his conversation with Kira as well, Like, he's just such a cool character, you know. He is the definition of cool. He's the definition of laid back. He is the definition of feeling superior. And he was, for the most part, like, just spanking people. The best way to put it. He was, every time you saw him in a battle, every time you saw him just around anyone, he was just being casual, and he was just, you know, he was just taking it easy, and he was getting away with it because he was that good. What more can you say? What more can you say? And obviously the guy had style. Wearing the gold clothes, his armor, I think it wasn't armor, but that looked pretty awesome. He didn't wear that, unfortunately, in UBW, but hey, he had it in Zero, so his armor is pretty cool. Gold armor, I think that's what I would wear if I was rich, right? If I had absolute power and I thought that highly of myself, I think my armor would be made out of solid gold, even though that would be probably very, very heavy to carry, very heavy to, you know, wear. I'd still have that. I would have the gold. I would have my movements being limited, just to look cool. Even if I was in a battle, I'd be like, yeah, I need to move around. I need mobility. I wouldn't care about that. I just have the gold armor. Let them tremble in fear. That's basically the way it is. But like I said, he had the ability to back it up, and his NP. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything to be said. I think somebody actually wrote in like the comment section that even Gilgamesh isn't like fully capable of using his NP, and I'm like the guy is literally beating anyone. The guy has beaten anyone. The guy is just casual as well while doing it, and you're telling me that, you know, he's not using his NP at his fullest disposal, at his fullest power. The guy's broken. The guy is broken. Well, on to number three, Arturian. I feel like Arturian is probably going to be a lot higher or a lot lower for a lot of people. You either love her or you don't. I think that's just the way it is. You either love it or you don't. Like what I mean by that is, like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that really, really love her. There's going to be a lot of people that really can't stand it, and there's going to be people like me who put her kind of in the middle. I don't really have anything against her. You know, overall, I do like her as a character, but I don't think there's anything that is, you know, truly, truly interesting. Like with like Iskander and Gilgamesh, you kind of had that where it was like very, very fascinating because they had such a strong personality. With Arturia, that's not really the case. Arturia is almost like a background character, if that makes sense. She's a background character, but she is a primary character. It really makes no sense because her character, her personality is quite limited. And it really only comes, to light when she's in a battle. Outside of battle, she is just quiet. She's just very, very quiet, and so there's not really a thing I can put her higher with, because, you know, I look at like the previous two, and they were like, yeah, you know, they have that, you know straight away who they are when they speak. You know straight away who they are when they act. With Arturia, that's not really the case unless she's in a battle, and then she has the whole honor thing about it, but she's not the only character that has that. So yeah, so for me, that's why Arturia, she's not bad. Don't get me wrong, she's not bad. I don't dislike her, but she's just not great, if that makes sense. Just kind of in the middle, which is why she's in my middle, you know, three. I think it's because I've seen so much of her, because, you know, we have seen her in every, you know, well, not, I was gonna say in every single show, but she's not in Epoch. We've seen her in Zero, we've seen her in UBW, so I figure, we've seen her in Fate, we've seen her in Zero, we've seen her in UBW, so I think it might just be because I've seen her so much that, you know, that, I don't know, she ranks higher than others. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really have anything against her, but it's not like I am a massive fan of her either. You know, if she were to fight Arturia, if she were to fight Gilgamesh, or she were to fight Iskander, I'd be on their side. If she were to fight anyone else, I'd probably be on her side. Her Noble Phantasm is pretty awesome as well. It's essentially a spirit bomb, best way to put it. For those of you guys that have seen Dragon Ball Z, essentially, I mean, Excalibur, yeah. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome to see, the best way to put it. It was pretty awesome to see how she used that. So she destroyed a Grail. She destroyed the Grail in Zero. And she destroyed the Grail in UBW. She also used her Noble Phantasm to destroy the creature that Bluebeard? Yeah, Bluebeard. Not Blueberry. I keep thinking Blueberry, but no, that's a fruit. Bluebeard. She also destroyed Bluebeard's creature. So her Noble Phantasm is very, very good. It's very, very good. Number four, and that would be Shiro Archer. Shiro. I don't know really how to name him. So let's just call him Shiro Archer, the Guardian from the future. I don't know. Call him what you want. It really doesn't matter. You guys know who I'm talking about. Red clothes. Look, the design. Let's just get it out of the way. The design, awesome. The design, awesome. It was a mystery who he was, and I think looking back at it, yeah, I should have realized that. I should have clocked on who he was. But it was a very, very nice surprise. It was a very nice surprise. And overall, I think it's pretty cool. Overall, I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know. Like, he is layered. That's the best way to put it. He's layered. You know, as a character, as his personality, there are multiple layers to it. It's not just straightforward. I actually think that, like, early on in his season of UBW, I actually liked him a lot more than by the end, just because early on, yeah, he was quite prominent. He was almost always there in the episode, and then like towards the end, it was like, you know, it kind of seemed to not be there anymore until like the very, very end. So I feel like that's why he dropped a little. I don't think he would have surpassed Arturo in the first place, but he's a pretty cool character. You know, he's probably the most layered character. He's probably the most interesting character just from history-wise, you know, just from what happened to him and then what he's going through, just from that kind of perspective. He's probably the most interesting character, and I think maybe if we've saw a little bit more of him, he probably would have gotten a little bit higher. Just saying, maybe third, maybe. I don't think second quite yet. But I think he might have just pushed past Arturia. If we had seen more of him, if, for example, he was in Apok as well, he's obviously not, but if he was in Apok as well and we just saw more of him, perhaps, I'm not saying definitely, but just perhaps, he would have scored higher. But he was a very, very interesting character, and obviously his Noble Phantasm, which is a UBW, literally what the show is called, you know, Fate UBW, Unlimited Blade Works. Pretty cool ability, you know, having multiple swords there, here and there, and it was a pretty nice character to have. I don't know whether that's just because I like Shiro, but he was a cool character. He was a cool character, man. So yeah, that's why Archer is number 4. And then number 5, as I said, probably the most difficult choice for me. There were a few names that I've had in mind. Like the names that were fighting for the spot were the 2 Lancers, you know, from both Zero as well as UBW, and then Hercules, Berserker, from UBW, and ultimately I went with Hercules. And there's a simple reason why. Ilya, the way he protected her, let's get his Noble Phantasm straight out of the way. He can ultimately come back from life. There is a limit to it, but like he can regenerate, if that makes sense. It's a very, very simple power, honestly, like compared to like the other things, you know, Iskander, Summon a Reality Marble, Gilgamesh, you know, just Gate of Babylon, and then you have his ear, whatever it's called. You just have, and then you have obviously Arturia, you know, Zack, just destroys anything in her path, Zack. Archer, just multiple swords, and then you just have Hercules, who's just meh. I just regenerate. I'm just here. It's a very, very simple power, but considering how strong as a character, he is a berserker. So considering how strong as a character he is, considering how, you know, how dangerous he is as a character, to then have that kind of drive. You know, Hercules is known as being powerful, and you know, he clearly showed it. I mean, he was only there really for an episode really, and you know, that's the thing. He was only in a really fun episode, and I really, really liked him. I thought like him protecting Ilya, I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see. You know, kind of different type of servant, one that doesn't speak, but he still gets the job done. So he's probably like, personality-wise, that's probably the least interesting, in all honesty, out of all servants. But I don't know. He was just when he was gone. Best way to put it. When he was gone, I felt that, you know what, this guy deserves respect. And there's no one else really that I felt like this guy quote unquote, this guy reserves respect, except perhaps Lancer from UBW. Like looking back at like Lancer from Zero, I liked him a lot. I liked him a lot as a character. I don't know. Just just not anymore as much as I used to, I guess, ever since I saw the other Lancer in UBW. So ever since then, it was just a case of, new Lancer for the win. I guess that's just me. When I get a new toy, I like the new toy more. Yeah, but that's my top 5. As I said, Iskander at number 1, Gilgamesh at number 2, Arturia at number 3, Shiro/Archer at number 4, and then you have obviously Hercules at number 5. But that's all there is though to this video. Tell me what your top 5 is from. Tell me what your top 5 is. I was gonna say, tell me what your top 5 is from Zero, UBW, and APOC. But the thing is, I've not really seen everyone of APOC just yet. So just tell me what your top 5 is from Zero as well as UBW. As always, people, you can rate, comment, favorite, subscribe to this video. Peace out and have a nice day. Bye.